Hey everybody, my name is Marcus Limbrick, and today I'm accompanied by Professor Bon Jones, who is a management professor here at campus. Today we were working on assignment A6, which is discussing a meeting with a individual to discuss the plans for and experiences with a trip to Buenos Aires, Argentina. Thank you for taking this time to meeting with me. The questions will be very brief, but thank you for this time and for meeting with me.
My pleasure entirely.
So one of the biggest questions is, what was the atmosphere like and how does it differ from the US? What was like the culture surrounding it?
Yeah.
And
I've traveled extensively in working for Dell Technologies, and one of my jobs is I owned global operations for our consumer product group. So traveling in Central and South America was a normal thing for me. Um, Spent a little bit of time in Argentina, and it's always fascinating to me when traveling internationally to just see how cultures differ and where they're the same. And what I find is people are people, and we all have the same hopes and dreams for our family and our children and what have you, and career aspirations. But a couple things that stood out about Buenos Aires in particular, which is the extent of my travel in Argentina. I wish I'd gotten to see more, but just the it's interesting. It's much more like Europe than like the United States. Very European flair to it. The people tend to be a lot more buttoned up in their dress and very um, fashionable in the way they are. The people are warm. The atmosphere is friendly. The business atmosphere is extraordinarily professional. Very buttoned up culture from there. I've had opportunities in addition to the work to actually go out and see some of the city and have some time in restaurants and in different tourist types attractions. The food is fantastic there. Really neat being a Texan and loving barbecue and those types of things. Kind of the churrascarias that they share with the Brazilians, although saying an Argentinian and a Brazilian share anything, so those are fighting words. But yeah, it's just a fantastic culture. Really enjoyed my time there for sure.
very cool. Thank you so much. It's very insightful. Um, were the greetings different in the US versus Argentina? Were the social interactions different, could you say?
Yeah, so very much like a Europe, you're going to get the hug and the kiss on the cheek. Meeting people, especially men and women. Uh, Again, it's a very buttoned up, at least from a business perspective. Uh, I always wore a suit when I was
Yes,
doing
sir.
business in Argentina. Very much a buttoned up thing, but again, very warm and professional.
Oh, thank you. Were there any memorable moments that you had during your short stay?
Yeah, just again, just it's a big city like any other big city around the world, but just very interesting to see and also as just interesting as a world traveler. You think of South as warm, and well, the problem is Argentina South is cold, right?
Oh,
So,
wow. Yes, sir.
well, it's very different. The further south you go, the colder it is. So, just always interesting to things that you would inherently think and know that you go and you experience. And summer here is winter there, and just the differences that you have around there. But as far as Argentina itself, just was struck by the architecture, struck by the people, struck by the culture and the fashion, and very much more European than I would have expected. And again, more European than American, even for a big
Yes,
city
sir.
like that.
Oh, cool. Thank you so much for taking this time. One last question is, how about you touched on the food a little bit, or is there any
Yeah.
dishes in particular that just blew you away?
Well, I can't remember the specific dishes. What I like to do when I travel is I have a very significant no chain policy. So not even if it's a local chain, no chains. But I love to go and just let the people pick. So we did everything from the churrascarias type of deal where it's just going to be numbers of different types of meats and things brought out to local dishes for which I can't remember the names of them, but I would just always like to go around to the people's favorites. And if it was a bunch of Americans and we were in the, I'd always just defer to the wait staff and, hey, what are your three favorite things? And then pick the one that sounded the most interesting. But that's certainly a fantastic thing about global travel is the differences in the food, and the more adventurous you are, I think the better your experience when you go to those places.
Very cool. Thank you so much for all of that. And this is very informative. That's all I have for you. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, Marcus.